The premiere episode of the new season opens with deeply tender images, showing that Jean has finally given birth and Cyclops couldn't be happier to start his family. Together, they have decided to name him Nathan Summers, the fruit of their true love, whom we all know in the present day as Cable. However, at this point in the storyline, the X-Men have completely vanished, and the estate they once called home now lies in total ruins. The only ones left together are Bishop and Forge, who find themselves stranded in the year 1997, desperately trying to figure out what happened to the rest of the team. Bishop has been analyzing the temporal anomalies that began surfacing right after the X-Men disappeared, and he has successfully tracked down two specific points in time that keep repeating. One is ancient Egypt, and the other is the 40th century, two of the darkest eras for mankind. But that is exactly where the mutants are trapped, and they must find a way to reach them. The main problem is that a single constant recurs across both eras, the presence of Apocalypse. Therefore, they must split up. Bishop will travel to the past, while Forge jumps into the 40th century. Together, they launch an ambitious project to bring the X-Men back to the 90s. After stepping through the temporal portal, we see Forge arrive in the year 3960, only to face a world in complete ruins and a strange tower surrounded by a thick green gas that makes it incredibly hard to see. Before he can even process his surroundings, he is completely surrounded by armed robots that order him to surrender immediately under the authority of the Regent, Apocalypse. These rogue machines show no mercy, forcing Forge to strike first if he wants to survive. He draws his weapons and unleashes all his pent-up rage with every bullet, successfully taking down a couple of robots, though he remains severely outnumbered. When his ammo finally runs completely dry, he doesn't even have a split second to reload, so he decides to quickly dive for cover. He waits patiently for the patrol to pass him by, but luck isn't on his side. They spot him anyway, and just seconds later, they are on the verge of killing him when a massive blast of air erupts out of nowhere. The dust storm completely blinds the enemy, which is exactly what a mysterious hero needs to leap onto the robot's shoulders and rip them to shreds with his claws. At that moment, Forge realizes it's Wolverine, but he sports a brand new look, and his claws are no longer coated in adamantium, but made of pure bone. The storm had been triggered by Storm herself, who couldn't be happier to see Forge, welcoming him with a passionate kiss. He immediately tells her that he came to rescue them and brandishes the device that will allow them to return to their original timeline. But looking at his lover's face, he can clearly tell they aren't ready to leave just yet. This is when Forge realizes that Cyclops and Jean tracked down Nathan in this distant future, where their son is now a teenager, and they aren't willing to just pack up and walk away, as they desperately want to be a part of his life. Forge completely understands their intentions, knowing they just want to be good parents, but they still have no clue who or what sent them to this precise moment in time, and he reveals that these are crucial, defining moments in the life of Apocalypse. If they stay behind playing house, then Cable will never become the hardened soldier he is meant to be, which would be a massive loss for their cause. On the flip side, if they leave, they won't know if they were actually the key to defeating Apocalypse in this timeline. Ultimately, there are too many questions and very few answers. As they approach the Escani base of operations, Jean begs him for just 24 hours, giving them a chance to say goodbye and figure out if their son's rebellion is truly on the right track. Right then, the scene shifts to reveal a massive graveyard of bodies from different species, all recently slaughtered by Apocalypse and his followers, whom he rules with an iron fist. A few seconds later, Ozymandias appears, bringing his regent some excellent news. They have finally located a body, a perfect vessel for him to host, so he won't have to endure the agonizing struggles of regeneration. The target is a telepath. He is a young boy whom the Escani are trying to shape into their savior, and the scouts have reported that they are moving through the northern sector. Upon hearing this, Apocalypse commands his troops to bring the boy to him immediately, no matter the cost. That telepath is none other than Nathan himself, whose mother is currently teaching him how to control his powers and use them to suppress his pain, making his cybernetic arm look like a normal one. Afterward, Morph drops by to invite him to play a game of baseball, allowing the kid to forget for a few minutes about the brutal war they are trapped in. This gives his parents some breathing room to debate the boy's future, questioning if he is truly destined to become the warrior who defeats Apocalypse, or if they are just placing a crushing burden on his shoulders. At that moment, they start thinking they should tell everyone the truth, that they are his actual parents and not just random time travelers, and inform them that they are taking him back with them. They just need to convince Forge that this is the right move and persuade the Escani that Nathan is not their Messiah. That night, Cyclops visits the mother Escani to ask where Nathan's prophecy came from, who wrote it, or if it is all just a bunch of lies she made up to give hope to a desperate people. But that conversation reveals absolutely nothing. The mother Escani just speaks in riddles, offering nothing useful that could confirm their son is truly destined to do what they claim. Shortly after, Morph shows up and tells Forge that Nathan has vanished, and his parents are gone too. Right at that moment, we catch up with them, and Jean is having a telepathic conversation with Cyclops, telling him they won't gamble Nathan's destiny on a time travel lottery, nor the fact that he is supposed to become Cable. But it turns out Nathan was eavesdropping on their conversation. He already has the ability to do that, and he demands to know who Cable is. Before they can answer his question, a dozen robots ambush them, unleashing a hailstorm of bullets. Fortunately, Jean manages to drop a protective shield that only lets Cyclops' optic blasts through as he begins tearing them apart. The main problem is that the robots aren't alone. They are being led by an elite squad under Apocalypse's direct orders, featuring highly powerful beings who refuse to leave without Nathan. Ichizumi unleashes a massive cloud of pestilence upon them, while Sanjar channels his power into Cyclops and spreads a terminal disease through their bodies, inflicting excruciating pain. Neither of them can do anything to counter this triple assault, especially when the sonic waves from the fourth horseman strike, shattering the protective shield. This allows Ozymandias to step forward, confronting Nathan and telling him he needs to come along quietly. Once the rest of the team realizes they've been abducted, they immediately turn to the mother Escani, who shows them a blueprint of Apocalypse's fortress, which is guarded by an energy barrier that incinerates anything unauthorized. The only way inside is to intercept the train carrying Nathan and be on board when it crosses the threshold. According to the prophecy, the boy is destined to destroy the villain right inside his seat of power, meaning the final showdown will happen there. Looking at the schematics, Forge points out that the train travels at Mach 3, and jumping onto an object moving at that speed is going to be incredibly dangerous unless they can somehow match its velocity. This is where the mother Escani decides to reveal to Storm that in her original timeline, she controls far more than just the weather. She controls the cosmos and can generate solar flares, which will provide the exact energy needed to power the engines. Now, she is about to share the secret to unlocking that immense power. On top of that, she confesses that it was her own power that brought them here in the first place. She can see through time and tear open temporal rifts. When she saw that the X-Men were destined to die in their own era, she chose to save them, trusting they would be the ultimate solution to ending this brutal war. She sent one team to the future to help Nathan become the man he needs to be to defeat Apocalypse, and the other to the past to prevent the mutant named En-Sabah Nur from ever becoming Apocalypse at all. Aboard the speeding train, his parents give Nathan the strength to concentrate and push his powers to the absolute limit, allowing him to break free from his restraints and channel enough energy to shatter his inhibitor collar. But before he can reach the control panel, a pair of robots ambush them. Fortunately, the boy destroys his parents' collars, and they instantly repeat their previous strategy, dropping a protective shield that only lets Cyclops' optic blasts through to obliterate the robots in a flash. Following the mother Escani's advice, Storm risks her own life and summons the power of the sun to unleash the solar flares she desperately needs. Holding onto a spark of hope in the deep darkness, she successfully unlocks a whole new level of power that she never possessed before, making her virtually unstoppable. These solar flares charge the ship's energy panels in an instant, allowing the team to match the train's speed and even surpass it, ensuring they catch up to their companions in mere seconds. With their speed perfectly synchronized, they manage to board the train at the exact moment Jean and Cyclops are facing off against the Horsemen of Apocalypse in an all-out brawl. Storm quickly shifts from channeling solar flares to unleashing a freezing wind that completely ice-locks her enemies, giving Morph the perfect opening to use his powers and take them down. Even Nathan completely blindsides his parents by using his telekinetic abilities to snatch a weapon from one of the robots and unload its entire arsenal against them, forcing Ozymandias to flee the scene after being cornered. The X-Men call out to the mother Escani to get them off the train immediately, but she uses her power to accelerate it even further. She knows her own mission might be over, but Nathan's is just beginning, and she sends them racing straight toward the gates of Apocalypse's fortress so they can finish what they started. Unfortunately for them, Apocalypse escapes, as he hasn't regenerated enough to fight them yet, and he vows to take his revenge in the 20th century, where they are far more vulnerable. Suddenly, a massive crowd of people begins pouring out, and the heroes realize they have accidentally freed thousands of enslaved men and women. Looking at the scene, Jean and Cyclops see clearly that their son is called to lead these people, and now that his hidden powers are unlocked, they are certain he can handle this challenge and so much more. The moment Nathan places his hand inside the ring of power, his arm completely transforms, and the scene flashes forward into the distant future. There, we finally see him fully realized as Cable, a warrior who has spent his entire life hunting down Apocalypse, though the villain always manages to resurface in a different point in time. Serving under his command are Psylocke and Archangel, both locked and loaded for their next assignment. The move Cable is ready to make now is to recruit new allies, handing them a classified file packed with potential candidates. Finally, the second episode brings us straight back to 1997, where a group of young mutants is seen fleeing through the woods from Sentinelas, desperately trying to reach the place they once called home. But finding it in total ruins, they realize there is absolutely nothing left for them. Terrified and left with absolutely no other choice, the young mutants decide to surrender. However, when they look closely at their pursuers, it turns out they aren't Sentinelas at all, but rather the final remnants of the X-Factor strike team. This is all that remains of the mutant population, now forced to work for the government to resolve global crises. Essentially, they are treated as state slaves, and this is their only way to avoid ending up marooned on a deserted island, monitored 24 hours a day. Meanwhile, Jubilee is busy laying low, though she isn't doing a very good job at it, since Cable manages to track her down easily. He offers her a spot on his crew to hunt down Apocalypse, who has been flying under the radar for quite some time. They've finally locked onto a fresh lead. One of those high-ranking horsemen, who goes by the name of War, has just resurfaced, and they need to seize the opportunity to tail him before things spin completely out of control. Before they can even give him a straight answer, Cable cuts in and clarifies that he isn't looking for sidekicks or heroes. They are soldiers who will follow orders, and he won't tolerate any whining. He warns them that governments will hunt them down and no place will be safe, but that is the steep price they must pay for their own kind. With a smile, Jubilee tells him she's in, and seconds later, we flash to Brazil, where the team is currently carrying out a mission. However, they have arrived right in the middle of Carnival, and the massive crowds packing the streets make things incredibly difficult. From the street, Jubilee informs them that she has just spotted War heading north. Unfortunately, the target manages to see them and bolts, but thanks to Sunspot, they manage to catch up and land a solid blow until Psylocke finally reaches them. She handles most of the combat, but thanks to the kids, she gets the perfect opening to use her power and ensure that War crashes to the ground. Now, he is their prisoner. Once they have him restrained, Psylocke enters his mind and manages to see a vision of War delivering a casket to Apocalypse, who congratulates him on his work and promises that very soon the entire world will be theirs. After War is no longer of any use to them, Cable hands his weapon over to Archangel so he can get his revenge and shoot War right in the head, since they have already obtained what they wanted from him. Jubilee tries to understand why they are doing this, suggesting they could call the authorities or turn him into someone, but Cable coldly tells them that once they become horsemen, there is no salvation left, and this is the only way out. Before she can even argue the point, a gunshot rings out right behind her. Archangel has ended War's life, serving as a brutal reminder to the kids that they are soldiers now, and this is how things get done. Once they are aboard the jet, Jubilee makes it crystal clear that if he wants her to stay on the team, there needs to be less killing, arguing that War could have still been useful. When Cable snaps back that he's the one calling the shots, she hits him with the fact that Psylocke saw diamonds in War's mind. There is only one telepath tied to diamonds, Emma Frost, and they are going to pay her a visit, but he has to promise they won't kill her. Emma is perfectly willing to cooperate. After all, she's just a broker. She takes her cut and gets the job done. She explains that War wanted to smuggle a shipment into Switzerland, but before handing over the exact coordinates, she demands something in return. The squad touches down in Switzerland shortly after, and Emma is seen tagging along with them. Inside, they discover technology far more advanced than what was used to create Archangel, but the crates are completely empty, meaning whatever they came to do here is already finished and they've cleared out. Before the team can pull back to chase other leads, Emma reveals they aren't alone, and X-Factor shows up to place them under arrest under orders from the United States government. It turns out Emma sold them out in exchange for her own amnesty. They won't touch a single hair on her head, a deal she secured solely by luring them to this location so they could be prosecuted and thrown behind bars. Cable brands them Uncle Sam's mutant bootlickers and fiercely declares they will never surrender to a bunch of fools called X Factor, prompting Archangel to strike at that exact moment. One by one, however, the members of X-Force end up overpowered by X Factor, who stand ready to deport them straight to the United States to face trial. Luckily, Jubilee finds a way for them to make a break for it. She grabs a live wire and triggers a massive explosion of flashing lights, distracting X Factor just long enough. Yet, before they can clear the hangar, she gets caught, forcing Psylocke to knock Sunspot out cold so he won't be captured along with her. Shortly after, Jubilee is put into interrogation and fitted with an inhibitor collar to make her talk and expose Cable's plans so they can bring the rest to justice. Polaris tries using their shared history as X-Men to soften the girl up, but it doesn't work. Alex ultimately ends up leading her down to a holding cell where she witnesses dozens of mutants locked away simply for practicing what the professor taught them. Meanwhile, back in the air, Sunspot begs Cable to turn the jet around right now to rescue his girlfriend, but Cable shuts him down, stating they have a crucial mission they must see through. However, the boy manages to make him see that she was the one who showed them exactly where to go, and it wouldn't be fair to finish the mission at the expense of their own people. Right as that is happening aboard the jet, Polaris slips into the holding area and frees Jubilee. She removes the inhibitor collar and warns her she has exactly 5 minutes, making it clear this is a one-time favor for the sake of their shared past and won't ever happen again. Immediately, the girl uses her powers to trigger a total blackout across the entire facility, and when armed soldiers show up, she blasts some appropriate background music to start taking them down one by one, using her energy to spark pure panic among the guards. The moment she gets her hands on a military radio, she quickly contacts her team and tells them she needs an immediate extraction route because she has extra cargo. She wants to bust out of there, revealing that she is liberating every single prisoner. While Jubilee thoroughly beats down the guards, she buys enough time for the kids and the rest of the inmates to scramble up to the flight deck, where Cable is already waiting to get them out of there as fast as possible. Archangel takes care of wiping out the defensive turrets, allowing the jet to take off without a hitch. The only problem is that Jubilee doesn't make it off the deck before the plane climbs, so she takes a leap of faith into the open sky, trusting that her boyfriend Sunspot will catch her, and that's exactly what happens. That night, Val Cooper goes on national television to announce that the X-Force squad members are officially fugitives of the state, offering a massive reward to anyone who can provide key information leading directly to their capture. While piloting the jet, Cable flashes back to the moment he sent the X-Men packing into the past. That was the very first piece of advice his computer gave him, since defeating Apocalypse in this timeline was merely the beginning, and they absolutely needed to be on the ground in the past for the next stage. Meanwhile, the third episode kicks off with the team arriving in that ancient era, where they end up being rescued by a mysterious fighter who introduces himself as Sabah Nur, leaving them deeply in his debt. But before diving further into this part of the storyline, we check back in with the remaining crew. Forge has no clue why Bishop hasn't returned with the rest of the X-Men yet, leaving them just sitting around twiddling their thumbs. On top of that, the signal from their tracking devices is completely dead, meaning Forge has no way to jump to their location, leaving them totally stranded. Meanwhile, in the year 3000 BC, Sabah Nur is getting some serious life lessons from Magneto, who tells him that just because he was born a slave doesn't mean he shouldn't crave absolute power, since being the very first of his kind with such abilities gives him limitless potential. In the following scene, we see a massive horde of desert raiders closing in on the city, as their pharaoh orders all available troops to deploy to the main gate to halt the imminent assault. Outside the citadel, the slaves endure brutal punishment from the soldiers, who lash them with energy whips to force them to work harder. But now, the horn of war has sounded, and every single soldier is summoned immediately to defend their pharaoh, the great Ramatut. When the camera cuts back to the desert raiders, it becomes clear that Sabah Nur is their undisputed leader, and he has arrived with the sole purpose of freeing his brothers from the pharaoh's iron grip. Perched on a nearby ridge, Magneto watches the events unfold, having decided to gamble the X-Men's fate on the man who is destined to become Apocalypse. The pharaoh's technology is incredibly sophisticated, far beyond anything from their own era, and it might just hold the key to sending them back to their proper timeline. Charles warns him that he is playing with fire and forces he cannot possibly control. En-Sabah-Nur might be their only ticket home right now, but once he gains absolute power, there will be no holding him back, and they will utterly fail in their mission to stop him before he turns into Apocalypse. Despite the warning, Magneto genuinely believes he can help guide the young mutant down a different path, given that he was the very first of their kind. And just maybe, he isn't inherently prehistoric bound to become a force of total destruction. However, the moment the order to charge is given, hundreds of mechanical soldiers buried beneath the sand are exposed, emerging in a flash to completely surround En-Sabah-Nur's forces and rapidly cutting them to pieces. The last thing the army general sees is the mechanical troops seemingly crushing the mutant, leading him to claim an instant victory. Seconds later, though, the city gates are blown to pieces, and En-Sabah-Nur emerges from the wreckage completely unscathed, locked and loaded to keep the battle going. With incredible speed and fighting skills, En-Sabah-Nur rips through everything that comes at him. He even manages to halt a massive mammoth dead in its tracks with his bare hands, lifting it up with raw strength to swing it through the air and smash through one of the fortress gates all by himself. Once the young mutant gets the perfect opening to take the army general's head off, he looks over at Magneto, who is trusting him to make the right call, and he delivers. He spares the general's life, choosing instead to shatter the slave's collars. Seeing this, Magneto turns to Charles and notes that maybe all is not lost just yet. He immediately sends the team to salvage the wrecked androids so they can use that advanced technology to their advantage. Nightcrawler quickly gathers up all the tech, transporting it straight to Beast's makeshift lab, where he is already using every single salvaged chip and component to piece their temporal portal back together so they can finally return to their own timeline. Unfortunately, every single attempt they make to power up the temporal portal fails because they simply don't have enough juice. Thus, they need something far more powerful and advanced than the basic robots used to defend the city. But to get their hands on something like that, they have to trust En-Sabah-Nur to make it all the way to the Pharaoh. According to Magneto, though, what they did today was the right call. Tearing down the first line of defense and abducting the army general was the smartest move. But Baal, En-Sabah-Nur's first officer, doesn't really see eye to eye with them on that. He believes they could have crushed the pharaoh right then and there, failing to realize the technology the ruler could deploy against them, or how many lives would have been lost. Baal tells his leader that he has until tomorrow's moon to make a final decision. After that, General Logos is going to lose his head, whether it's his destiny or not. That night, Magneto confesses to Charles that his master plan goes beyond just acting as En-Sabah-Nur's wise advisor. He wants to help him become the ultimate leader of mutant kind, so he can rewrite history in perfect harmony with humanity. He knows that every single chapter lived over thousands of years has been written in blood, and now they have a unique window of opportunity to rewrite history from scratch. Magneto begs his old friend to back him up. Together, they can make this happen and return to a world just like Charles always dreamed of, living in peace and harmony, with humans and mutants coexisting as one, and he is absolutely positive that with Charles's help and mental abilities, they can pull it off. But the real question is whether En-Sabah-Nur's rage can truly be contained, and if he can actually become the leader that everyone like him desperately needs. Down below, their leader is interrogating General Logos, who mockingly taunts him about how his mother died in chains. At that exact moment, En-Sabah-Nur tries to take his head off in a fit of rage, but Magneto cuts in just in time and stops his blade midair. He tells him that Charles wants to speak with the prisoner first, as they can extract the information they need. However, that won't even be necessary, because Logos willingly spills everything. The Pharaoh has unearthed a lost temple packed with far more advanced cosmic technology, which will make his mechanical troops look like simple toys. Not only that, but it will transform their mortal Pharaoh into a literal star god, ultimately bringing the entire world to its knees. Hearing this, Charles can't help himself and tries to break into the general's mind, but he walks right into a psychic trap that drags him deep into the quicksand of his own subconscious until he hits his limit. Still, he catches a brief, terrifying glimpse of what the future holds for them. It is complete and utter destruction, a near demonic power that is just waiting to be found. At that very moment, the team heads back to their hidden lab, but upon arrival, they are shocked to discover that Baal already knows absolutely everything they have been doing behind his back. They have been using the very technology they want to destroy to build something else. Feeling completely betrayed, Ansaba-Nur snaps and decapitates General Logos right in front of Magneto, sentencing the heroes to prison. But Baal has a better idea. He orders his men to execute them on the spot, forcing the X-Men to fight tooth and nail for their lives. The only reason they make it out alive is thanks to a mysterious warrior who had been laying low inside Baal's own ranks. The moment General Logos' head hits the floor, it's revealed that he was a machine all along, and the pharaoh has been tracking his position this entire time. Now that he knows the exact coordinates of Ansaba-Nur's secret base, he launches a direct assault. The mysterious warrior turns out to be Bishop, who quickly hands out the temporal devices so everyone can jump back to their own timeline. They only have a matter of seconds to pull it off, as a massive energy blast unleashed by the pharaoh splits the sky in two, tearing through solid rock as if it were nothing but paper and completely obliterating everything Ansaba-Nur had built. Thousands of newly freed, innocent lives are wiped out in an instant. Whether the X-Men manage to survive is a total mystery, and we'll have to wait a week to find out. So make sure to leave a like and a comment if you want to see episode 4 on the channel.